and stuff like that.
Sure.
Otherwise, I'll just look at your screen.
Cool.
All right, so that will have tweeted it out, and then people can join as they wish. Oh yeah, I see that you saw it. Oh, perfect. Yep. Okay, so yeah, so first of all, like, thanks for like just randomly reaching out and offering to help.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, you know, I know I've known that I wanted like a dev browser for a long time, but I haven't really like investigated the different options.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, you know, as I do more responsive design, I realize like, okay, it's time to actually, you know, make this part of my daily habit and routine.
Yeah.
So, what are you like? What are you like? You know, I don't know much about you. Like, how did you come to work on Polypane?
Yeah, sure. So I used to run an internet agency here in the Netherlands where I live, and around 2015, I switched over from doing design in Photoshop to doing design in Sketch, like everyone else. And one of the cool things that Sketch had back then that no other design tool had was artboards. And so I was designing in Sketch with the artboards, with like a mobile, a desktop, and a tablet artboard side by side. And that's a really nice workflow. But then when I switched back to the browser to implement my designs, there was just like the single screen that I could look at any one time. And I had to resize that single screen just to see other variants. And I got really annoyed because the experience in Sketch was so great. So I decided to create a small prototype of what would become Polypane, basically showing 3 panes side by side, like a mobile, a tablet, and a laptop. And just like creating my own tiny little browser and seeing how that worked. And that worked really well. So I started developing that, like with all the other stuff that I wanted. And then started sharing it with friends, and then had a beta. And then beginning of last year, 2019, I switched full-time to developing Polypane.
Was that scary? Was like, what were the, you know, decision points on like what made you decide to go full-time?
Well, so the previous company I started when I was 16. So I have never really done anything else than having my own company. So switching wasn't really scary, because basically I don't know any better. I think that's the right way to say it. I just don't know any better. And I've always done a lot of product work. Like I've done many different apps and you know, website ideas. So this was just like a natural progression for me.
Got it. Perfect. Yeah, like I'm interested to learn more about Polypane itself. You know, like,
sure.
I took a look at the site. It looks, I mean, it looks like it has all the, like, I'm not a very educated, you know, part. Like, all I want is like, yeah, exactly what you have, right? Small, medium, large.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what should people know about this? Like, you know, the tool, and like what goes into building something like this?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Sorry. Like what are the important features apart from, like, you know, like the small, medium, large thing? Like, you know, yeah, like, you know, how
yeah,
maybe we
well,
should
so
go
that
through like how you look at a site like mine,
yeah,
and kind of show off the features.
Yeah, sure. So there's not really a CliffsNote version of the features in Polypane, because there's like a ton of them. But I'll just go like through your website, and then we can, you know, hit on some as we go.
Yeah.
So it's funny how you say, or you said that, you know, you prefer the 3-pane view. That's actually the default in Polypane. Like these 3 panes side by side. It's by far my favorite view as well. Like you can get into the nitty-gritty and have like, you know, the difference between an iPhone 8 and an iPhone 11 or 12. But if you're just developing a website, like from scratch, those things don't matter as much if you just go from small to large. Like you start developing the mobile view, and then as you do that, you can see how it looks on small and tablets, or small tablet and laptop, and you make adjustments as you go. But then, of course, you can also always just add, like, you know, I want an iPhone 11 here. Or, you know, I quickly want to check this if it's in landscape mode. So there's a ton of flexibility if you're developing in Polypane, and like it's all like freeform resizing. Nope.
I went a bit too crazy with the animations then down there.
Well, that's okay, because that actually shows off a feature that I put a lot of work in, and that's not only is scrolling and clicking and typing synchronized, so I can type in here and it will type in all of them, but also all the hovers.
Got it. Yeah.
And I think that's pretty important, because what I really want to achieve with Polypane is that it's not your website in 3 different sizes, or like your website 3 times, but it's you're working on your website that just happens to be shown in 3 different sizes at the same time. But it's still like it's one website, right? Because that's the entire trick of responsive design. Like you don't create a bunch of different websites. It's one website, and you should interact with it as if it were a single website. So that's why like these little things are important, I think.
How do you handle bubbling? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because this button is in different places and different window widths. I might have some other things behind it that might also respond to an event.
Yeah, so it syncs the hover styles of the elements, and the element doesn't change. It's in a different location, but it's still like the same element with the same hover CSS. We can actually just inspect that, and then quickly segue to another feature in Polypane, which is the unified dev tools. So I rebuilt the dev tools so that they work in all panes at the same time. So I'll zoom in a little bit so everything's larger. So you can see here the button. If you hover over it, there's it's the same as the regular dev tools, except it happens in all the screens at the same time, and it's a bit more convenient. So there's all the classes you have. Of course, you have a ton. Foreground color, background color. You can click on it to easily copy that. It calculates which font is being used. So if you have a very large font stack and fallback fonts get used, we calculate which font is actually used and then show that, rather than just the CSS as you define it.
Oh, I've actually asked the Chrome DevRel people to implement this feature inside of Chrome itself.
Well, no longer needed. It's right here in Polypane.
Nice.
So font size, line height, all the computed values. This is not so nice. We do a contrast check on everything automatically.
Where's the
and this
issue?
this
the button.
Yeah, the button. So this white on this blue doesn't have enough contrast.
Oh, okay.
But maybe we can fix that in a bit. Should be fun. And then like the full image dimensions. Another cool thing is you can edit text really easily. and it just happens in all the panes at the same time. So this is super nice if you're working on a page and you're working on the copy, because you can write beautiful copy, but if it breaks like awkwardly, like with a single word on the next line on like the mobile version, then you want to know that, and this is a really fast way to get that feedback. So then there's like the box model, as you're probably familiar with, like content padding, border, margin. It also highlights it in all the panes, of course, but I usually keep it collapsed because I don't use it a lot. But it's like one of those things that you should have, I think, in developer tools.
Yeah.
Then all the CSS, and of course you use Tailwind, so it's a lot of classes with just a single declaration.
Yeah, I've always wondered if there's ability to collapse this, because it's a lot, and it's a little annoying to scroll. I guess if you can filter it, it's not too bad. Which I end up doing a lot of filtering.
There's another view in Polypane that will work well for you.
Okay.
But one of the nice things is, of course, that you just have color pickers like you expect. You can use the arrow keys to quickly change values.
Yeah.
And then you can use Shift to go up by 10, Option to go up by 0.1, and then there's also Command to go up by 100.
Yeah.
Not so useful for padding, but maybe like for width or font weight.
I see the little specificity thing there as well. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Cool. So it calculates the specificity for each selector, and then also you won't see this here. Oh, right, you can see it here. Like it will show you which of the selectors in the selector group is actually targeting this element. So you can see button, input op group, select text area, and button is the darker one. So also you can copy any CSS rule set, and it just comes out formatted.
Nice.
So you can edit your stuff here in the elements pane, this won't do anything, but suppose it did, and then you copy it over to your own CSS. You paste it in, and you're done. Or you can just copy the single line.
Yeah. Wait. So what's the difference between live CSS and elements again?
I'll get to that.
Okay.
Computed might be a little more what you're looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar with this one.
Yeah. So it just shows all the computed styles. By default, it only shows the ones that you've done something with. So if you have padding somewhere, it will show you padding. But Polypane is based on Chromium, and Chromium has a lot of styles that it applies. So we just kind of hide them.
Right.
Like, have you ever used WebKit Text Combine? I don't know what it is, and I'm building a browser. So no clue.
Cool. Well, yeah. Let's keep going. Well, yeah. Okay.
So
you can keep editing that.
This might be a more interesting view for you. This is the attributes panel. It shows you all the attributes of this element. Of course, you use a ton of classes. And then here would be where you would edit.
Yeah, I don't export every one of them.
Oh,
Some
right.
of them are going to be purged. Yeah, you don't have the dev version of this.
Well, too bad. We'll just do. Do you have this one?
Probably
no.
Not. It's very like I mean it's a site. Like I don't use the full range of colors, right?
No, that's fine, because like I just removed the background, so we can just reload it, and then we can see that it actually now has a contrast of 16 with like the dark gray background, because I calculate the real background color. Like I go up the stack, calculate all the opacities, etc., and then combine the background. So you get the real value rather than, you know, only showing this if the element itself has a background color.
Yeah.
So now it's actually useful.
That's a lot of detail to take care of. That's amazing.
Yeah, but I think that's important to get right. And it's fun to build as well. So Live CSS is this other panel, and it actually lets you write CSS to apply to all the different panes. So what I did just now, I used the inspect elements to select this thing. And what I then do is I parse your CSS. I find all the selectors that apply to this element, and I give them to you here as suggestions. And the nice thing about that is you don't have to figure out like which selector should I use to be specific enough to override my other CSS that's like in my editor and not visible right now. But you can just use the selectors you already have, probably the ones you want to edit or change. But for now, we'll just do H2, because fingers crossed that works. So you can write SCSS or CSS. And yeah, you can just write any CSS that you want. One of the cool things is that we can detect any Google font, and then we inject it into the page. So again, super easy way to, play around with your design. Like maybe you don't want lobster, maybe you want play fair display.
So I don't include any of these. So it sounds like you're including all of these for me.
Yeah. We include this on the fly.
Yeah. Very nice.
So yeah, we detect that this is a font that's available on Google Fonts.
Yeah.
And
so
then we load it in.
The whole page. One thing I really like this for is I can start adding media queries, right? Like one of my pain points in normal browser dev tools is that I can't just randomly add media query stuff in there. So that's pretty handy.
Yeah, so it really helps with what I think is the nicest way to build responsive websites, which is you start with the small one, and then at some point, like I always keep these open just so I can see what's happening on larger screens. But like at some point, you take this one and you say, well, no, little wider. Yeah, I'm gonna do a breakpoint here. And then you start working on this screen with the new breakpoint, and you can see, well, it's 644 pixels, but maybe I want it in ems, so I can just click from pixels to ems, and it then calculates like what's the size in ems, so you can do proper media queries using ems.
That's probably too. That is very fancy, but like I don't. Yeah, normally I just use pixels, but yeah, it's very fancy.
Both is fine. Like the benefit of using ems is that if someone has a different default font size, like the regular default font size is 16, but maybe some people have it at 18, and all your media queries are in pixels, then for those people, all the media queries are going to be slightly too early. Whereas if you use ems, they just scale along with everything else.
Yeah.
So it stays the same. Like there's a little bit of an adjustment, like what is 40M? Like maybe you don't know, or you don't really have a feel for it. Whereas you probably have a pretty good feel for like 650 pixels wide. Like you could probably draw that fairly accurately on your screen. But it's a habit.
Yeah.
Do it a few times and you get a bit more feel for it.
Cool.
So that's like Elements and Live CSS, and those live in the side panel.
Yep.
There's actually a bunch more stuff in the side panel. So if I switch over to
I
info,
really like this. Yeah, open graph, Twitter tags. Yeah. It's very nice.
So what we do here is we parse all the meta tags that we can find, and then display them, and then tell you like where can you improve. Like, for example, you have no description, no canonical URL, and no theme color.
Do I need a canonical URL for my main page?
You don't necessarily need canonical URLs, but it's nice to have them, just because then you know that there's always going to be a canonical URL. Okay. Like you might forget something somewhere with like slashes at the end of URLs. And if you just have it configured for your websites to always add the canonical URL, you never have to worry about that.
Got it. And then the theme color is for PWA, like...
yeah, so PWA, but also another really fun thing is Discord uses it to color this bar.
Oh man, look at my LinkedIn.
Yeah. I mean, LinkedIn.
You mean the bar? Oh,
this bar. Yeah. So normally it's this slightly darker gray, but if you have a theme color, then it actually shows you. It renders the theme color here.
Oh wow, that's really handy.
So that's just like a little fun way to customize what your links look like in Discord.
Yeah, perfect. I have a lot of things to fix.
Yeah, and then like for Google, Twitter, Facebook, Slack, LinkedIn, and Discord, we generate pixel perfect previews. So I painstakingly went through all these sites, making screenshots for like all the different variations that they have, and I keep this up to date all the time. Like a couple of weeks ago, Google slightly changed the color of gray that they use here.
Wow.
So that's now updated. And of course, I can switch to dark mode. And then all the websites that have dark mode, which is Twitter, Facebook, Slack, and Discord, they're all in dark mode as well. LinkedIn doesn't have dark mode because that's not professional. And then Google, yeah.
Okay, cool. What is outline storage? Is storage, I guess, is like IndexedDB and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah. We can continue on to that, but actually want to show you this. We also check all your icons.
Oh man.
And then there's some stuff broken because I think you prefixed the URL, but then you haven't defined the URL, or there's a typo. But this one works, and you can right-click it and save it. There's all your link tags, all the other meta tags, your Twitter tags, and your Open Graph tags, just so you can like see them as well as see how it renders.
You see what's wrong with there? Like I have my description, Open Graph description, but it says at the top I don't have a description. So
yeah, so this is your
that says description.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the regular meta description. Oh, I see what's going on here. You have a uppercase D.
Okay.
For the description.
All right. Fair enough.
So that needs to be lowercase.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. That's why you have dev tools like this to help you. Yep.
Exactly. And then outline gives you an outline of the page. Now, what's interesting here is that I use the HTML5 algorithm, but I also show the actual elements used. And what's interesting here is that you have one title, but it's not an H1. It's an H2.
Yeah.
So my guess is that this should be an H1. And we'll probably get to that in this panel as well. Storage
I
is
I
just
copy pasted it when I rewrote this page. Yeah, okay, local storage, session storage, cookies. Yeah, that makes
yep.
sense. Okay.
But you have none of them. Nice.
I mean, yeah, that's true. You know, but like in future, I might want to add some sessions and stuff.
Yep.
For that. Cool.
So then
access. Yep.
then there's the source panel, old school source panel, which I just added like for fun. But it's surprising.
Is this Code Mirror?
Yeah. So this uses Code Mirror, and Live CSS uses Code Mirror as well.
Nice.
So I added it for fun, but it's actually surprisingly useful just to see what's going on. And what we also do is we pretty print all of this. So you could have you could strip out all the unnecessary white space to make your page as fast as possible, but then it's still readable in Polypane.
Very nice.
Right.
So one of the things that I like to do. Yeah, go ahead.
No, yeah. Ask your question.
Like, is there like a select? So one of my favorite workflow is like to use the cursor thing, right? Select, and then hover over the element that I want to check, and then click on it, and then it shows me that source, right? Does it? Oh, okay. Yeah, that I see that button now. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So it's the same as,
our inspect element button is.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly show the source, but it shows this elements view.
No. Well, I don't think the regular DevTools elements view, like we have we have the regular DevTools as well.
Okay. Yeah, I can use that. Yep.
And you can use that.
I use this a lot too. Like, yeah.
Edit classes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
does this one come from Electron? Is this the Electron panel, or is this like you included it separately?
This elements panel, you mean? Yeah, this is just the regular Electron one.
Got it. Yeah, I like seeing it in like Slack and all that.
yeah. Makes you feel like a real hacker.
Cool.
So we'll go back to the accessibility panel, like run an accessibility test.
That's not too bad.
Yeah. So the worst you can have is like critical, then serious, and then moderate and minor. So no critical elements.
What
and
algorithm does this use? Is this Pally or Axe or?
This is Axe. This uses Axe. Yeah.
Cool.
So you can see here what we just found out as well. Like page must contain a level 1 heading, and there's no H1.
Yep.
But it's not that big of an issue. I even believe that Google doesn't really care about that. It just takes like whatever header you have, and then the first one or the highest one becomes like the title. But also there's.
Let's say I actually care more about like my individual articles than my index page.
Right.
Because nobody goes to my index page, or that they all go to the individual. Yeah, this is terrible. But like click on any article, and then.
I'll go to this one.
Okay.
That's the URL, right?
Yes.
And then we can like quickly check.
This one should have an H1. But yeah, I really love how quickly you can
there's like, this is very, very proper. Like there's an article with an H1.
Yeah.
And then proper H2s and then an H3. Yeah. Like this is really good.
I spent a lot of time telling people to use H2s. Because everyone uses H1 in their Markdown, right? But you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I wish like Markdown or MDX, if you use that, would allow you to do that automatically, because it's very natural to just start with like a single hash.
Yeah, that's true.
So a few other things that I see on a ton of websites and also on yours is that you have these really cool icons here.
Yeah.
But they don't actually have text. They have a title, but titles don't get read or don't get spoken aloud. You probably want an area label.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead, or alongside it, like a title will show up.
So the title only shows on hover. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just needed it.
But it's not an accessible text. You really want an area label for that.
Okay.
It's super common. I do it a lot as well, and then my own browser tells me I did it
Marks are
wrong.
unique. Yeah. Cool. All right.
Yeah. So this
what
is
are the other? Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
a little more esoteric, but it's moderate, so it's not super important. But like it's good practice for all your unique landmarks, so navigation, to have a unique title.
Yeah,
so
I put it in the header and the footer. That's what's going on there. Yeah, that's fine. I can fix that. Yeah, what is handoff browse?
Right. So basically, it's a browser in my browser. So that's it. I use it a lot for like documentation.
Okay. So I guess like this persists. If I'm like working on something, I can just quickly jump to that, and then I'll come back.
Yeah. So
why would I not use like a separate tab on at the top, right? Like I see there's a plus there.
Context. So
just preserving context. Yeah. Yeah, I can look up the docs. Yeah, that's fine. Yep. Understood.
But you can just always have this alongside while you're working on your page, or like if you have a design system, you can have that here.
Yeah.
And that's just super useful. But then also there's all these handoff tools built in, like Avocode, Figma, InVision. If you use those, Zeppelin, for your handoff, you can just show it right next to the site you're building.
Got it.
So
what about workspaces? Oh, sorry.
Workspaces are like different panes.
Presets of
presets. Yeah.
All right.
So you can store your own. You can then export them, like share them with your team.
Yeah.
And we also have a bunch of default ones, like the 3-pane one that we started with, like a device lab.
Bootstrap, Material UI. Wow.
Yeah.
Tailwind, Poma. Wow, that's amazing. You really put a lot of detail in this thing.
Yeah, like all of these have default breakpoints. So it makes sense to have these as your workspace if you're working on a Tailwind site, because these are the breakpoints you're going to use, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, perfect.
So that's it for like the side panel, but we're not done yet. Like just very quickly, like different layouts depending on like your needs. You can have a single one.
I love that you have whatchamacallit, keyboard shortcuts. Those are great.
Oh yeah. And then for the focus panel and also for the other views, we also figure out what the actual breakpoints in your own website are.
Okay.
So these are all the breakpoints that you have in your CSS. And then you can just quickly create panes from those. Or you can switch back to, well, let's do vertical. And then you can see the breakpoint button here. It says we found 6 breakpoints. And I can like add them one by one, or just say, give me all the breakpoints for this website.
Yeah.
And then of course everything is still synced. Yeah. But we'll go back to just one. And then, like, if you're working on a website, there's all sorts of tooling that you want to use, or that you might have like little tricks for, like, for example, layout debugging. Like you might open your
PX solid red.
exactly. But why do that if it's just here? Or even better, there's a shortcut, Command D.
Nice.
That just adds it to all the panes.
Nice.
And then what's cool about this is that we don't just like add borders around everything, but we also actually do layout debugging. So if there is a horizontal scroll bar, we figure out which element is causing that horizontal scroll bar and then make it red for you. Wow. So like the usual workflow for that is you do the 1 pix and then you still can't find it. So you start just like deleting random elements in your DevTools until the scroll bar disappears. Right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
That's what I do as well. But yeah, that's like kind of a dumb workflow. Like you just want the browser to tell you it's this element. So that's what I built because I wanted that feature.
What's the reachability thing? That looks interesting.
Oh, sure. I'll do that on a mobile phone. Reachability is basically how easy is it to reach, or like
you see,
red is difficult to reach.
That's always my problem with the top right buttons, is that top right buttons are hard to reach. So
yeah,
I don't know why people always put it in the top right.
Well, like
I followed that, you know, but
yeah, me too.
I prefer like a floating action button at the bottom.
Yeah,
then that's hard to code.
I see it more and more often where there's like a bottom bar, and I really appreciate it. But yeah, like you, I haven't built that for my own site either. I should.
Yep, I agree with that. This simulator stuff, like this is actually being built into the browser. I feel like I've seen some demos of this.
Yeah, so it's been in Chrome for I think 2 or 3 versions now. It's been in Polypane for over a year.
Nice.
So all the color blindness, of course, like full color blindness, but then also like farsightedness. Or glaucoma, or cataracts, which are all like they all blur vision, but slightly differently. And cataracts also like dulls all the colors a bit. But then also, yeah. So like, not all impairments are physical.
Yep.
You might just have your tablet or your screen open or visible when you're outside and it's very bright. Of course, that it causes glare and it makes the screen hard to read, and maybe your phone becomes a little bit hot and then dims.
These are just really good filters, and wow.
Night mode, and then this one is always a lot of fun.
Dyslexia. I mean, okay, but there's nothing I can do about that.
No, well, so this really helps with creating empathy, though, because it makes you feel how it feels when it's difficult to read text. And what you could use this for is to do a quick spot check if you're not using like overly large or jargony words, because they will trip you up. Like I can see this and know it's follow, because you can unscramble the words in your mind.
Yeah.
But then other words, like as they get longer, it becomes more difficult. So this creates like empathy, and it can help you choose smaller words, which isn't always the goal, but maybe for some communication it is.
So it seems like you have Polypane has a bigger focus on accessibility than I imagined. Well, is there like a personal story or relationship that you have with some accessibility issues that kind of drove your focus on this?
Not really, no. Like when I started developing websites, that was just about when the standards movement really took off as well.
Like the
I've always just found it very important to build websites that can be used by everyone, because that's basically like the goal of a website. Like you want to reach as much people as possible. So it's just not clever to build in roadblocks for people to use your website. So don't.
Okay, so then you have other buttons there for, I guess, taking a screenshot.
Right. So this is placeholder fire. It changes all the text into bars.
I like it.
And that's super useful for agencies. Because awesome. Like agencies show off their designs to their clients, and then all the clients always start about the words, and they're either lorem ipsum, and they get confused by that, or they're like placeholder copy or copy that's not done yet.
Yeah.
But it's the thing that most clients know the most about. So it's what they have the strongest opinion about. But if you're there to like show the design, yeah,
exactly.
You have to say like basically, you know, there's gonna be text here, but that's not important right now. Look at the scroll bar. Do you like the scroll bar?
That's amazing. Okay. Yep. So picture, and then what is that? What is that third button?
Just one last more. Contrast checker. We check all the contrast.
Yeah. How come it has? Yeah. So it has some. It has some. Yeah. What is that?
Yeah. So whenever we detect text that doesn't have enough contrast, we calculate which color does have enough contrast.
Okay.
So you can very easily copy that over into your own CSS. And again, that's one of those things where I want Polypain to help. So I don't just want to say, hey, this is wrong. Go figure it out.
You just give me the solution. And I mean,
like,
I still have
wrong,
to decide like does this color fit in my site? But
of course. And like in the case of Tailwind, you could probably just go like 1 or 2 steps up in the color scale.
Yeah, exactly. Is there a how do you calculate that? How do you calculate that arrival color? Is there a well-known formula for that kind of thing?
Yeah. So the WCAG has a formula for that.
So you target a certain contrast ratio, and then you translate it to hex dimensions. Following
so
it's hue or something. It's
based on the luminosity of the colors.
Got it.
And it like the formula or the values that you want to hit are slightly different depending on the font size and the font weight.
Yeah.
So we take that into account as well. So if you have a really large text, then you only need a contrast of 3, whereas for small text, 4.5 is the minimum.
Yeah, got it. Perfect. Wow.
Yeah, so there's
I'm like super impressed. Yeah,
screenshot like full page and viewport, and then you can use that actually in the reference image. So I created one for this page. It's a Retina screen. So.
Oh, you're diffing it. Okay.
Yeah. So there's diffing. Like I can fade between them, and actually you can see that we have our custom CSS still here.
Okay.
But that's actually nice. That works for us right now. So I can also say show visual div, and then it highlights everything that's different for this particular page. But then also maybe you're not doing like QA, but you're like implementing the design, so you want it side by side.
So I can import a separate, completely different image, and it just shows up.
Yeah. And you can overlay it, and you can show it side by side, and as you can see, it also scrolls along.
Oh, that's great.
So you can like really implement pixel perfect designs.
Can I just pull in like a Figma frame, like?
Not yet.
I'm doing that right now. Like, look at this. That's exactly what I'm doing. I'm pulling in. I have Figma on one side, and then I have my dev browser on the other side.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah, so that's coming. But for now, it's just you can just export your Figma artboard and then overlay it here.
Do most people use Figma in your users? I don't know if you know like the market share.
I don't really know. No.
I'm very new to Figma, but like I'm just amazed by it. I think it's really good. I think Framer might be interesting. Framer exports React components. So that could be a good workflow, because like all this design work, like I have to duplicate so much of it. And anyway, I'm sure you know. I'm sure you understand.
Yeah. I mean,
cool.
Like when I started with Photoshop, so everything's amazing now.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is super impressive. So it's a desktop app. Like
Yeah,
this is an Electron fork or some sort of layer on top of Electron.
exactly.
Sorry, no. So you have Electron plus you have Chromium inside of Electron, right? To do all
Yeah,
the
so
fancy stuff.
Electron is built on Chromium. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Man, this is yeah, super impressive. And yeah, I'm glad that you're working on this because the world definitely needs something like this. Well, developers need something like this, and then we need to train developers to use this. What's this? What's columns? Oh, okay. It's like a design overlay.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I need
there's
this in Figma.
also like a design overlay where you can add like columns, rows. You can add a grid. Let's say there's a 20 pix grid. And right now it's center top aligned, but I can also do bottom aligned or left or right aligned.
Yeah.
And then also it can show guides.
Yeah. Oh, so if you click there, does it stay? Oh, okay, it stays.
Yeah,
The line
yeah. So you
stays
can
there, yeah. Oh,
add
that'd
like.
be great. Yeah. I need to audit the number of lines in my sites a lot of times. Yeah, perfect. Awesome.
So that's most of the features. Like there's a few more. Like I can reload just the CSS, like without a page reload.
Oh.
But of course, like I built Polypane because I didn't want to resize my browser. Because it's not the most interesting work to resize your browser. But then also, why do we keep refreshing our pages? Like I guess most people now don't have that problem anymore with React hot reloading, etc.
Yeah, exactly. So
But
this is like a manual hot reload. Like, yeah, you just watch the directory.
Yeah. So that's built into Polypane. There's no like external server you have to run or file you have to configure. You just
have you been working on this for how long? Have you been working on Polypane?
So I started in 2015.
Okay.
And then
there was hot reloading around then, but it was like just coming into the picture as like a thing that.
Yeah, but like still, hot reloading really only is a thing in like the JavaScript.
Okay.
Community. So if you have a WordPress website or a Rails website then you're out of luck. And also there's like a surprising number of people that don't develop on their own machine, but on like an external machine or a staging server. And then you don't have access to the file system. So there's also auto reload.
I see.
Which is super simple. Like reloads every 5 seconds, but it's it's smart. It will wait for the page to reload before starting the new timer. So you're never like, if you have a 5-second page load, that you can see it for like an instant and then it starts refreshing again.
Oh, you should never have a 5-second page load.
No.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, this is a really great tour, man. I'm just really amazed that this is even possible in the first place. Is it just you? Is there a team working on this? Like,
no, it's just me
to make something like this. Wow.
It's just me doing the app, the website, the marketing, the support, everything.
That's amazing. That's is this like a, I don't know, do you identify as like an indie hacker or like a solopreneur or something? I don't know what this is called. Nice.
Yeah, like I usually refer to myself as a indie developer. But yeah, like as I said, there are no cliff notes. I can just keep going. So I just turned on emulation. Like there's dark mode emulation, reduced motion emulation, network settings. But like another cool thing that, oh wow. I'll just switch to an iPhone because that triggers their mobile view. one of the cool things in Polypane is that you can also send custom headers. So I can do like accept language, and then we'll do Chinese. Then this
cool.
one is in Chinese. This one is still in English.
Goodness. Oh wow.
And then we can do let's do Dutch.
Oh, this would be really good for my friends at Netlify. I used to work at Netlify, and Netlify has this like headers settings, so it can sort of route you depending on what headers, or what geography you have, what language you have, and it just routes you to different files. And we always have to like go and change it in the browser, but
it's a pain.
With this, yeah, it's a pain. It's a pain.
What
would be really cool if you had some like left to right language, and then right to left, and then see like a different layout based on that.
Is it?
I don't. Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, there you
Hebrew.
Go. Wow. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's super impressive.
This saves so much time.
It's always one of those things. It's always one of those things where like, if I have time, I'll do it, but then I never have time, so I just don't do it. But like, this is really really cool.
Yeah. So like with all the features, I'm really focused on like, where are developers wasting time now, or where aren't they doing anything because it's just too much of a pain.
Yeah.
Like a ton of websites will have like a perfect iPhone view, but then you switch over to like 600 pixels wide and it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
Because they did the iPhone, it worked.
Over optimized for mobile. Yeah.
Yeah. And then just kept developing on their laptop.
Yeah.
Because that's what you do. But you forget all these in between sizes, and they also exist. Not just in devices, but also people that just don't have their browser full screen.
Yeah, it would be, just people resize my site all the time, and you saw I have like a weird breakpoint with like the.
Yeah, I didn't want to mention it, but
I know I need to fix it. I just don't have time, and I don't care. But I care. It's just valid. I don't have time.
Yeah.
Anyway, but this is okay. Yeah, so I mean, I think this is really cool, like overview, and super impressive that you've been working on this for so long, and I think it's a very it's fast as well. Like that's the other thing. I need the reloads to be fast, and if you're gonna like reload 5 different versions of my site at the same time, it's got to be fast, and that's something I am noticing that isn't a standard among these kinds of browsers.
No, but I spend a lot of time on making sure that it's as pleasant as it can be. Of course, like there are limits. If you're going to open 30 panes in this,
then I think between 3 to 5. Yeah, that's the
3 to 5 is, I think, the sweet spot. Up to 15 should be fine. Like if you want to open more than 15, I give a little warning. Like, are you sure this is what you want to do? But yeah, like it's like opening multiple different windows of Chrome. So it's always gonna use more memory, more CPU than like just showing a single pane, which we can also do.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. Yeah, thanks so much for doing this. This is it's a really great. I hate that already, but like, I wanted to think about Easter eggs to like put on the side, and I was just like, oh fuck it, I'll just do a small animation. But yeah, I a lot more to do for me. But no, I think this is about like demoing the tool, and I knew that I needed something like this, and I appreciated that you showed me like this is. I'm gonna definitely try it out. And
thanks, and thank you for your time.
I think every front-end developer needs something like this, I don't care what.
I agree.
Could be Polypain, could be something else, but like, the Chrome dev tools are not enough for people. Actually, I'm also curious, like, do you have any thoughts on like, the whole world centralizing on Chromium and like Mozilla slowly dying? How do you feel about that?
So
like it's good for you, but
it's nice that Chromium now has such widespread support. Of course, Electron makes my life easier. I would have loved to have a Gecko version, like a Firefox version of Polypane as well. but like I'm one person. I don't do C++, so I won't be the one to port that over. Unfortunately, I use Firefox as my day-to-day browser, like the one with my calendar and Twitter, etc. in it. And I have since before Chrome. So Chrome was always like my developer browser. Now Polypane is, of course. Firefox was my task management browser, I guess.
Yeah.
Or my browsing browser. Like, I think we're at a point now where developing for the web is so complex that a very small number of companies have enough resources to do that, like to develop web browsers. And because that's the case, like I don't want other rendering engines to go away, but I think it's good that there are now more and more other large companies also actively working on Chromium.
Yeah.
Because like the danger is that if only Chromium stays and only Google works on it, then Google can just implement anything they want. Like they can just push AMP,
or like web whatever API that they want
to
promote.
Yeah, and that's like I'm not saying they're the bad guys, because they do a ton of really cool work, but like Google is a company. Companies need to make money, so they have like motives that might not align with the open web.
Yeah, that's true.
And the same is true for like Samsung and Microsoft and Brave and Opera, but there are different motives. So yeah, I hope they keep each other in balance a bit, and that we get the ecosystem that way. But I hope Firefox stays around, because I really like using Firefox.
I think, yeah. I mean, I tried a different. I tried Brave. Like honestly, I was pretty hopeful about Brave, but then like some extensions weren't working. I think I should just try it again. But yeah, obviously it's a very complex issue. And there's nothing I can do about it, but I just like thinking about like, where are we, like 10 years, 10, 20, 30 years from now, how are we going to think about like this weird period where browsers are kind of changing quite a bit. Anyway, no, like, so like super impressive, like congrats on everything that you've done. Like this is
Thanks.
really, like, I don't know what it's like to go so deep on some dev tool for 5 years and kind of be like a solo developer and all that. I feel like you should do one of those like indie hacker interviews to like just talk about the business side of things, because I think that's super interesting as well. I know. Thanks so much, and I'm gonna call it for this live stream.
Sure.
But we can also just chat afterwards. But bye to everyone watching. Let me end the broadcast. Oh yeah, do you have any parting words to people? I don't know, like calls to action or anything.
Go check out Polypain. It's polypain.com or polypain.app or polypain.dev. It's all the same site. Go check it out. You can register for free, try it for 14 days, see if you like it. No strings attached. So please try it out and let me know what you think.
Perfect. Yeah. I'm definitely going to do that as well. All right. I'm going to end the broadcast.